the relationship between market share and return is a pretty consistent one across a wide variety of industries. And if you imagine on a graph with return, and that can be return on assets, return on investments, whatever you want, but let's assume return on assets on the y-axis and market share on the x, what's interesting, and this has been described by Michael Porter amongst others, is there's a U or V shaped relationship between market share and return on assets. So what does that mean? That means that as you get to a certain point, your return on assets starts to go up, but until you get to that certain point, it starts to go down. So that has implications for three different groups of people. That's specialists, those who specialize in a specific area of a market or specific customers; generalists, those who have a large market share and are low-cost competitors; and those that are either, as Michael Porter refers to, stuck in the middle, or as the book Rule of Three refers to, stuck in the ditch. And so what's going on here is, if you look at the far left side of the graph, so this is the U or a V shape is the easiest to imagine. At the far left side of the U or the V, you have specialists. They don't have a lot of market share, but they have high returns. Why is that? Well, they can focus on a certain subsegment of the market and either keep their margins high because that subset of the market has a demand for a very specific good or service, or they're able to gain economies of scale within just that specific subset. So, a Porsche doesn't have the same economies of scale for cars in general as, GM or Ford or Toyota, but they do have economies of scale within a very high-end segment, the luxury market, where it's more demanding, more quality, more design, etc. So they're a specialist, and they can maintain high margins within their cars, theoretically, even though they don't have a ton of market share. But as you gain market share, your return on assets or return on whatever metric you want is likely to go down. Why? Because you lose those economies of scale at focus, and you're forced to incur higher expenses in general to compete for a larger share of the market. That could be marketing costs. That could be research and development costs, because you're trying to do a wider variety of products. There's just management and general costs, because one manager can manage one area but can't manage another at the same time. So there's a wide variety of costs and overhead that are going to make it so that as you try and compete for a wider and wider segment of the market, your margins are going to go down until you reach a certain segment. And the book Rule of Three defines that as the generalist as having 10% of the market. That's where two things happen. Number one, you're going to get the economies of scale that will drive cost reduction, that will allow you to maintain margins while simultaneously competing for a larger share of the market. And also, you're going to fall within that Rule of Three, which is that in any given market, it's going to tend towards three generalists, just due to scale features. As you attack a wider and wider range of the market, you're not going to be able to that market's not going to be able to sustain more than three competitors. And so you've got your specialists, again, they're at the far left side of the U. You've got your generalists at the far right side of the U, and the generalist with the most market share is going to have the highest return, because they have the lowest cost of competing relative to, generally, again, number two and number three in a market, although theoretically there could be more people in the market. And the lowest return is going to come at the bottom or the middle of that U-shaped or V-shaped curve. And that's going to be what are either, as Michael Porter refers to, stuck in the middle, or as the book Rule of Three refers to, stuck in the ditch. And these are competitors in the market who don't have the scale of the generalists, and they're going to have lower margins as they try and seek more market share because they don't have the same scale with respect to marketing, research, cost of supplies, ability to automate, things like that. But they don't have the specificity in a certain segment of the market to gain economies of scale within that specific segment. So they're going to lose out to the specialists as well. So what does that mean? Well, number one, if you're attacking a marketplace, you got to take a stock of where you're at and who you are. Even in our company, we're definitely a generalist in a certain division, but we're specialists in the rest of our division. And we don't try and compete with the generalists in those divisions, at least not until we've gained more market share. If you are a very small business, you need to think about operating under some niche focus that's going to allow you to compete in the market. Number one, what niching does is it allows you to get great economies of scale with regards to your marketing. And what I mean is, if you're just a general attorney, well, people could find you, but they have no idea if you're good at this area. If you are the attorney who handles motorcycle wrecks and that's all you do, well, your reach for Google searches, for Facebook ads, whatever that is such that if someone has a motorcycle accident, they're going to go into Google and say motorcycle accident attorney. The chances of you getting up there in the search results are a lot higher. And whatever your marketing budget is, if you focus it, you can make sure that when those search results come up, you are the motorcycle accident attorney. So no matter what the scale of your business, that relationship between market size and returns is an important one to consider. And in order for your returns to be high, especially as a small business, you've got to become very highly focused. And that could be focused in area. It could be focused in specialty. There's a wide variety of areas in which you could focus, and only you can say what your specific focus is going to be and what your specialization is going to be. But, whatever your business, you have to consider, if you're not a generalist, if you're a generalist and you have over 10% of the market share in a big enough market, your strategy is completely different. But if you don't, as a lot of businesses don't, you've got to focus on that niche strategy because that's where your highest return on investment is going to be, and that's where you're going to earn the most net profit. So hope that helped.